Hello and welcome back to the Plymouth Life Centre, the location for the Devon Business Show 2025 from the Devon Chamber of Commerce. My name's... What a bit Jana then, didn't I, really? Devon Chamber of Commerce, my lover. My name's Paul Philpott. I'm the Vice Chair of the Plymouth Chamber and also Director of the Devon Chamber of Commerce and your host here for a whole variety of live streams throughout the day as we bring you the best in local business knowledge, I think is the better way of putting it. Now, I have got a very exciting interview to bring you now. It's all about Britain's Ocean City, the new look Britain's Ocean City. A lot of hard work has been going on behind the scenes to give Plymouth, I guess in terms of branding term, I'm going to use the term, a bit of a facelift as far as its brand is concerned. And with us here we have three very important people to talk about how the new brand came about, also the importance of branding, and by the time you finish watching this interview, you'll have all the branding tips for your business you will need. So with me, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. So I'll start with the lovely lady to the immediate right of me. Amanda, introduce yourself.
Good morning, Paul. I'm Amanda Lumley and I'm Chief Executive of Destination Plymouth, and thank you so much for having us this morning.
She's got a big smile on her face because it's Amanda that's been spearheading this massive amount of work that's probably been taking, I don't know, 5,000 years, and it's, And then to your right.
So I'm Craig Harrison, Sales Director and Co-owner of Boosters Promotional Merchandise.
And at the end, last but definitely not least...
Mark Collins, I'm Commercial Director for Go South West, which includes Plymouth City Bus, Go Cornwall Bus and Dart Line coaches.
Fantastic. So, Amanda, what's been happening?
Well, goodness me, what hasn't been happening? We're so excited, first of all, that we've been able to present a refreshed and reimagined approach to our amazing Britain's Ocean City brand. And of course, the original brand's been with us since 2013, so 12 years now. And over that period of time, I think people have grown to love it across the city and to use it. And over the past couple of years, we've been on a journey. I have to say, we've been on a journey. And what we've been doing is we've been really trying to understand what is it that makes our city so special? What's the real grassroots? How do our people feel about it on the ground? And what is the true point of difference for us as a city that really makes us stand out? And that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years.
Now, it's very easy for individuals, consumers, the public, business owners, to look at the output of a branding concept and go, oh, right, yeah. Or they'll kind of like, oh, I don't like it. Or they go, oh, I love it. But they don't... I think, I hope I'm not being rude to anyone who's watching, but a lot of people, I don't think, realise the hard work that goes on behind the scenes to get to that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you don't go about these things lightly. So we started off with some research initially 2 years ago. We did some research right across the city to understand how did people feel about our current Britain's Ocean City brand. And that was really fascinating, actually, because what came back was people... felt really strongly that it had embedded itself. We had great equity, and particularly in the visitor sector, we've really positioned ourselves as one of the leading city destinations in the southwest. And basically, they didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So straight from the beginning, we recognised what we needed to do was to grow on that and to build it. We then did a further piece of research to understand what did people think about the city externally? And that was absolutely fascinating. And the interesting thing about that was that actually most people don't have a perception about Plymouth at all. They're really not sure what it is. And if they do have a perception, it's too far away, or it's just a naval base, isn't it? That's all. Or it's, there's no culture down there.
Or it's Portsmouth.
Well, we did. You had to say the P word, didn't you? Really, the P word. We don't say that, Anyway, so that came back. So what we realised was actually we've got quite a lot to do to change perceptions of our city. And you might ask, well, why are we doing that? Well, because the city is growing, and over the next 10 years, we will potentially have about 25,000 job opportunities in the city over the next 10 years. And we've got a £6 billion regeneration and growth pipeline. That is unheard of. If you look at other regional cities in the UK of a similar size, nobody else is doing that. So we need people to come and live here and to work here and to enjoy our city in the way that we currently do.
It's really a time for us to talk up our city and attract new talent to the city, and because that's a lot of opportunity that this region is bringing to the wider region, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because of course, people who work in Plymouth don't just live in Plymouth. People live right across Devon and Cornwall. And conversely, we know that 85% of visitors to our city are day visitors, and many of them come to Plymouth from Devon and Cornwall and the wider region.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship, isn't it, between our wider counties?
Now let's bring Mark in on this, because Mark, Go South West runs numerous bus companies, part of the bigger Go Ahead group, which runs bus companies around the United Kingdom
And the world.
But you have a really good knowledge about the importance of communication by way of transport and how the local communities connect with not only with each other, with themselves, but also with Plymouth. How do you think this new look for Plymouth will have an impact there?
I think it's a really good time to do it, as Amanda said, around the investment pipeline. So it's trying to get the branding done before the concepts of the investment, trying to get new talent into the city. I think it's something that, as a local business, we carry 12.5 million passengers across Plymouth a year. It's about making sure that we're on board with it. It's about making sure that other businesses are on board with it. And we're all singing the praises of Plymouth together, because it's for the greater good. More for our own business. The more people who are going to be in Plymouth, the more opportunities to catch the bus, the greater we can invest, and the greater we can become, and the city can become better together.
And buses also, they actually provide a good opportunity for organisations to publicise and expand their brand, don't they? I noticed that you've got, I'm going to promote the concept of bus advertising, but you've actually rolled out the Plymouth branding on your buses as well, haven't you?
Not just any bus, but our new electric bus fleet.
Go on, tell us more.
Our brand new electric bus fleet, 50 buses have now arrived into the city, and they're on the roads. And we took the opportunity, once Amanda approached us and said, what can we do? What can we do? It's about, as I said, making sure that we're on board with it. And what's better than actually putting your money where your mouth is and saying, right, we're going to promote the brand on our new buses. So as you walk on a number of our new buses, you'll be greeted by the new brand, both on the entrance and on the back of the bus. So to try and get that message across to our millions of passengers a year.
This is really good support, isn't it, Amanda?
Oh, do you know Mark and Richard Stevens, who's MD of the company, have just been fantastic advocates and supporters right the way through the process. And we can't thank them enough, actually, for helping us with this, because we have sort of three key aims, really. The aims of the work are to attract talent to come and live and to work in the city, and of course to study here as well, because many of the universities have been working with us as well, and our city college partners. We want to sort of raise the pride in our own city. So the reason we approached Mark and Richard was, we said, actually, there's some great messages there that many people around the city probably don't know, and when they read it they will say, goodness me, I never knew that. So who knew that, for example, the city has planted 50,000 trees in the last 5 years and is a globally recognised tree city? Who knew that? Who knows that we have a £6 billion regeneration pipeline? Who knows that, for example, nearly 1/3 of our local community are active volunteers? That's huge.
It's great.
It's absolutely huge.
Awesome. Everyone will know this, because what you don't realise is we're going to take all these little bits that you said as sound bites and put them everywhere. Now, I'm going to bring into the conversation Craig from Boosters. Now, Craig, your business is all about branding. Everything to do with branding, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just touching on what Amanda's been saying, we're based in Cornwall, and our plan when I took over the business 2 years ago was, how can we sort of start working more with Plymouth and Devon, and we were going to keep an eye on it. But just seeing the great work that's been done over the last 18 months to raise Plymouth's prominence, we joined the Devon Chamber earlier than we planned, and I was playing golf up at Staddon Heights on Friday on a charity golf day, and one of the holes just backs out, and looking at the view over Plymouth, I think you touched on it and you said people think it's a naval city, people think it's Potentially people think it's a bit dour. It's Plymouth. It's not, but it's a beautiful view from the top of Plymouth. It's a beautiful city,
absolutely.
and the vibrancy that's within it. It is an amazing place to be, and one that obviously is going to grow with the things that we've touched on already. But in terms of branding, that is what we do. And it's great to see the buses going around the city when we're out at networking events and whatever. And I think people often overlook the importance of, if you have a brand, of talking about it, because it's easy to get that perception in your head of what you want it to be. But if you're not talking about it, and if you're not showing people what you're doing, nobody's going to know about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the communicable aspects of a brand. But branding is everywhere. I mean, even earlier this week, there was a summit held in Israel, and I saw a news reporter talking about, this summit's been called in with 2 days' notice. They haven't even finished the logo yet. It's like everything needs to have a logo and everything needs to have a brand. But there's a reason behind that. We'd like to connect with imagery, with branding, with influences, with all those kind of things. So how important for businesses and for cities, people forget cities need to have brands too. We've proven that point here today. How important is it to get it right?
It's essential. I think we've all been in businesses, whether we've worked within marketing, whether we've run our own businesses. I think the pressure when you're coming up with a new concept is one that we went through last year ourselves, and we see rebrands by businesses all day, every day. But getting it right, the pressure's there. And I always say, who doesn't need to brand? Who doesn't need their logo? Everything that we touch, as you've just touched on there, cars, vans, buses, they all have a logo of the manufacturer on. They all tell you what engine's in there. Every single company in the world needs to brand. And I think it's very easy for you to go stale. If a concept is around for too long, as you touched on, Amanda, 12 years, there's nothing wrong with the message. It's just that you need to find a new way of delivering it, and that's why refreshing the brand is important.
And you mentioned buses. So, Mark, how bus operators use branding. You use brands within brands because you brand individual routes, you brand connection points. You've got quite a complex methodology that you apply there to communicate with your passengers.
Yeah, we've got so across the southwest we've got three primary brands, and they're all local brands. So Plymouth City Bus, it's probably gone through 3-4 different brand evolutions in the last 25 years. I was part of 2 of them. But it doesn't change the ethos of the company, and I think that's the message that we need to get back to with Britain's Ocean City. It's not just branding's not just a logo. It's around the messaging. It's around the visuals. It's around the community. Without a community behind the brand, your brand is faceless. And I think that's what we need to concentrate on here. Going back to the branding from my own company, so Go Cornwall Bus was launched in 2015. We're now the biggest bus operator in Cornwall, and it's Go Cornwall Bus. It's the local brand for the local people, and it connects millions of people across Cornwall every year. And we're here today with Dartline. So we purchased Dartline in 2022, so 3 years ago, and we've gone through a rebranding exercise with Dartline. Taking it from a family-owned business into something which we can properly invest in. This year we've invested £600,000 in 2 new coaches, but we need that branding to kind of highlight the fact that the quality of the service is there. So brand is really, really important, and if you get it wrong, you'll know about it, i.e. Jaguar.
Yeah, that's a good case study. Amanda, Mark mentioned logo, he mentioned visuals, and part of that you have typography. As part of the city's brand, you've created a brand toolkit, haven't you?
Yes, we have. I want to thank the partners that have worked with us on this, including yourselves, Paul, at Fresh Air, because Fresh Air were responsible for doing the soundtrack on our new brand film, which was a fantastic process, really enjoyable, and hopefully we've got it right. But we also worked with a number of partners, including the university, Babcock's, Princess Yachts, the Box, and the City Council, of course, who helped us get some grant funding to support this process. With that funding, we not only did the research to find out what our key messages were, and we've got really strong key messages now, which we believe are authentic and truly reflect the city as it is today. It's a city where we have a community that goes beyond. our creativity as a city knows no bounds, and so on and so on. So we've got some really strong messaging. But what we wanted to do was, of course, we wanted some really strong visuals. So we worked with another fantastic local company, Mother Goose Productions, who have filmed our new brand film and created lots and lots of new images. Those are available on our recently launched Media Hub. So that's free access. You just have to register. Go to our stand in the show. I think we're stand 65. I might have it wrong, but yeah, go to our stand because you'll be able to link up to the Media Hub and register. And those are iconic and fantastic images of the city for everybody to use. And then alongside that, we've now got a brand home site, and that will tell you everything about why we've done it, what our messages are. It talks about our proof points. What are our unique proof points and points of difference that any business in the city, if you're recruiting or if you're doing a sales prospectus or you want some facts and information, you can go to that site. It's all there, along with some really fantastic case studies from businesses who are doing globally unique, cutting edge things, and it's only happening here in our city. So we'd encourage all businesses to go and have a look at that site, and please use it, use the information, use the content. It's for everybody.
So putting this into context, if you're a business owner and let's say next week you're going to do a pitch in London for a massive contract that you really hope to get, a really good starting point for any presentation is where you're based. Talk about your origin. And you've pretty much got that sorted because the assets are there in terms of imagery you mentioned. There's lots of facts and figures. And getting a presentation and talking about yourself, normally it's the hardest thing. You got that sorted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've even in there, we have a presentation that you can download to present internally within your business. So if you have colleagues, employees, or senior partners, and you want to talk to them about this is why we're using some of this information, you can just download it. And so we tried to make it as easy, and we know, we hope it will be organic. We'll have a download button on the Media Hub, so if people say, I've got a great image and I want it to be on there so everybody can see it, you can download that, and obviously we'll approve it. We hope the mechanics are there. We've also done a consumer-facing site to link in with the bus campaign. And what that means is if anybody's sat on the bus, like you're sat on the bus scrolling away and they say, what is that all about? They can land into more of a consumer sort of facing site, which has lots of information, but also has links through to jobs and employment in the city. So hopefully they'll recognise there are opportunities for them here locally as well.
Craig, as a case study for branding, this sounds like quite a good one, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It sounds like it would make my job really easy, to be fair.
What tips would you give businesses who are perhaps working on their own brand journey? Obviously they may not necessarily be doing it the size and scope that Plymouth as a city is doing for its own brand, but what tips would you give individual businesses that want to maybe undertake a similar journey of their own?
I think when we did ours last year, and it's the first one that I've done as a business owner, I think it's have faith in yourself. I think the easiest person to second guess is yourself. But if you've got that vision, make sure that you're going to see that through, but align yourself with the right people. There are some great design agencies, media agencies around Plymouth, around Cornwall. We produce in the Southwest some of the best work that I've seen. When I was up in Birmingham, I didn't see this quality of work. And there are some delightful companies to work for, or work with, should I say. But first and foremost, just believe in your own vision. That's the key for me.
Mark, would you agree?
I do agree, yes. I think it's around making sure that you've got the assets to piggyback on. It's not starting from that fresh piece of paper, like you said, Paul. It's around making sure that you've got a backstory to be able to get to. So the brand hub that Amanda talks about is really important, and the stories are really important, because if you're going for investment as a local company, what better way? If you're up against, so in my case, Plymouth will be up against Oxford, will be up against Brighton, but for our group's investment, what better way to be able to say this is Plymouth, this is where we want the money, and this is why we want the money, and this is why we want the investment into our infrastructure. And this goes to any other establishment, if it's going to be your own investment through your own company, or it's through funding, through like DFT like we do. It's making sure that we've got Plymouth story dead right centre.
And stories work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, the three of you, for joining us. I'm going to ask you to give us your top tip or a bit of further advice whilst you think about that. Amanda, what's next? Okay, you've done all this hard work. The hard work isn't finished. I've got a feeling it's like a snowball, but you've only just picked up the very first handful of snow.
Well, I think that's a really great analogy. Thank you. So yes, the hard work starts now. We are now going to go through a process of revisiting all of those communities and partners and stakeholders that we initially spoke to, and sharing back with them where we got to, and encouraging everybody to adopt this and use it as theirs. And by adopt it, I mean adopt the messaging, adopt the facts and the information, be proud and confident to be able to talk about our city with facts and information that are hard evidence, and shout about it. So we'll start embedding it into things like the Plymouth Plan, which is our next framework for up to 2050 as a city. And we are continuing to work with our partners to think about, okay, how do we now start to attract more talent at a faster rate? So those are conversations that are happening. But really, it's over to everybody else now, because we had an amazing group, brand development group across the city of partners from right across the city, including the NHS and the universities and Plymouth Community Homes, who helped to shape all of this. And I think if I had a takeaway, I would say, bring everybody with you. So, don't be afraid to actually say, how do we all do this together? This is not just about, one person or one organisation. This is about everybody coming together and saying, well, this is how we think our city should be positioned and promoted and put forward. And the other thing I would say is, don't be afraid to reach out for help. So, we were fortunate to work with an amazing agency called DNCO, who are a global branding agency. They recently did the London underground stroke overground lines and did an amazing job in
and they've also got case studies and expertise in city branding, which was a really important thing.
Yes.
You go to experts because...
well, sometimes what you need is a critical friend to say to you, well, that's your internal view, but actually on a global stage, this is how it looks. And I think that's really important. And because we love working with our local businesses, but sometimes you just need that person who says, well, that's not necessarily right or not true, and you have to take a step back.
The important thing I would like to say to business owners and indeed individuals is, previously it's been very easy to critique. It's always easy to challenge. I think now is the stage to pause, log on to the brand website, have a look at the assets, learn how to utilise it if you're not sure, reach out for help and advice if you want to know how you position it within your presentation and how you actually deploy those brand assets. And now is the time, with all the investment and all the proactive activity and business focus and dynamicism that's happening, there's a real energy in Plymouth. Now's the time to kind of draw a line and get behind Plymouth as a city.
Yeah, and if people want to know more, we're doing a free webinar actually, which is on the 27th of October. And hopefully, if people are at the show, they'll be able to come and they'll be able to sign up for the webinar, which will explain everything, all the background, the messages, how to use the toolkit, and how to be creative with everything that we've done.
Fantastic. Right, I said I'd put you on the spot then with your top tips or business advice, or should we say takeaways. So let's kick off with Craig.
I feel cheap now, but I'm going to... What Amanda just said absolutely encapsulated everything I was thinking of. So touching on that, have faith in what your vision is for your own business, if that's what you're rebranding. But don't be afraid to use people around you. There are people that have been through it hundreds of times. There are people that know what's going to work, what isn't going to work. And I'm not always the best at this, but take their opinions constructively. And they're not criticisms, they're just constructive. a weak point of mine, but that's another story.
Mark.
I think it's just make sure that you don't think that your brand is your logo, and take that time at the start to map out what your business is and what the actual branding story is, and don't think I've got a logo, I'm sorted.
And Amanda, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would just like to add that, our new strapline is Make Life an Adventure. And I think what a great place in Plymouth. You can do so much here. There's so many opportunities. It's been a fantastic journey the last 2 years. It has been a journey. We've taken lots of people with us. And all I would say to anybody who's going to go through that sort of process is don't rush it either. Just take your time as well and listen to those around you, as Craig said, because it's only by doing that you'll really get to the nitty-gritty and the authentic story of your brand, and in our case, of our city.
And Amanda Lumley's new book, My Life in Branding, will be available shortly in all good bookstores. Amanda, Craig and Mark, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to have an interview talking about skills and the future skills in the Southwest.